Governor, you know, we've been reporting this shouldn't happen in a church, but I was downstairs talking with some people that work here that we all talk about our faith and we share the same beliefs. We were saying there's no other place we would want to go and that other than church.
All right, so let me just start it off by saying what she said in the beginning of the video. I agree. It definitely shouldn't happen in a church, but it also shouldn't happen in a movie theater. It also shouldn't happen in a school. People getting shot and massacred shouldn't happen anywhere, and having a 501c3 attached to your building shouldn't make it more important than any other building, frankly. I think that's very unfair to say. I totally disagree. Her next point was that she was discussing religion or beliefs with her coworkers, and they shared the same beliefs. Now, of course, it's legal to discuss beliefs, but it's not legal to practice religious discrimination. I would argue that maybe the former should also be illegal, which would prevent problems like me discussing my religious beliefs, not at work, but in being terminated because of it. So obviously, it's not fair across the board to discuss your religious beliefs, unless, of course, you share the same ones that she so wonderfully stated here.
Because I'm there asking for forgiveness, saying that there's a place we would want to go, and that other than church. Because I'm there asking for forgiveness, I feel very close to Christ when I'm there. So I'm trying to look at some positives here. And
okay, so Acts 7:48 says, "The Most High dwells in temples not made of hands." Notice how she said that there's no place she'd rather go but to a church. Again, a building with a 501c3. Of course, she feels closer to Christ when she's in this building that has a 501c3. But why? None of this stuff is going to solidify the beliefs in terms of it being fact. It's merely just a comforting tool, which is the reason why we receive these beliefs or accepted these beliefs, because we don't know where we go when we die. And death is a horrible topic. It's something that none of us really want to confront, and that's if you are what they call conscious or if you are a believer. If you are a believer, you may believe that your soul goes to a better place when you die. Some other people believe that your soul returns to earth and lives multiple times. Either way, the fact remains, death is hard to confront, okay? But because death is hard to confront doesn't mean you automatically have to believe in another type of idea because death is hard to confront. Now, that being said, I'm going to continue.
That those people are with the Lord now and experiencing eternity and no more suffering, no more sadness anymore.
Speaks to my point. No more sadness anymore. These people are now with the Lord. They're in eternity. Again, I don't want to seem insensitive, as death is very hard for any one of us to talk about or discuss. But we receive these beliefs when we're young, simply because they tell us where we'll go after we die, because death is scary. We also receive horrific torture places that we go when we die, further solidifying our fear in death, neither one of which make it true. So here she is saying that the people who were murdered are probably with the Lord, away from sorrow. But all of this is in the same book as the whole entire world flooding. This is not a good time to run to a belief simply because you're afraid of death or the unknown. I'll continue.
But on that note, did you talk to any of the people that were there when you were at the vigil? Any personal stories that you want to share with us from what happened inside the church?
Well, first, before the vigil, I went to a community center, and in the community center were the families of the victims, and I had the opportunity to speak with them directly and try to summon the language that would try to touch their hearts. And I got to tell you, I left from there before going to the vigil very inspired by these individuals who are going through this suffering, because it was clear from my conversations with them, from hugging them and holding them and hearing their whispers into my ears, that their faith in God was unwavering, that what they relied upon in that moment in time and during the course of the vigil later on was both their faith, but also the necessity for us to come together under one God to purge evil and to rely upon the love that God provides.
Right. Thank you, Governor.
Yeah, indeed. We know your hands full.
I'm just going to go back a little bit. And notice here where he says the love that God provides. This is him out here hugging these people, providing comfort to these people, the people who lost their loved ones. And again, like I said, not to be insensitive, our heart goes out to them, but he is the person providing comfort. But of course, he says the love that God provides. He also said that the need was not only for faith, but the need was also to get together under one God. Why is that a necessity in a time of calamity? That we all join together in a belief of a God that is unsubstantiated in a book, okay, that is definitely not even proven to be the word of God. And this is what I mean. My heart goes out to everyone who's suffered by this. Of course, my heart hurts for the people that this happened to. But at the same time, this is not a time where you're supposed to grab to beliefs just because they comfort you. And a lot of people will do this. I'll say this to you guys who do fear death. The moment you begin to fear the future unknown, just begin to try to think about your past unknown. You weren't here. There was no remembrance of it. There's really nothing to fear. Going back to the point to where he spoke on coming together as a necessity under one God. Let's be clear. He is talking about his God. He is talking about the demographic God for this area. Calamities happen all over the world, guys. Syria just went through it, correct? All right. Iran has gone through it. Africa. People die all over the planet every day, and there are massacres all over the world. And the people of those demographics, they hold to the beliefs that they believe in when those massacres happen. And in a lot of cases, it's not Jesus Christ. This is something that humans do. It doesn't mean the literature is true. Humans, by nature, fear death. And we hold to other ideas because the idea of death is hard. Now, I'm not saying that there is nothing next. I operate by the idea that I don't really care. It's inevitable. I worry about what's on this planet right now and the problems that exist right now on this planet. So maybe that could be an approach a lot of you guys could take. Take no thought for it. It's that simple. I'll go ahead and hit play.
That their faith in God was unwavering, that what they relied upon.
The faith in God is unwavering. The reason when these things happen that faith goes unwavered is because we have been taught in these beliefs that many are the afflictions of the righteous. So when these type of things happen, it makes us further hold to the beliefs, believing that somehow our torture or torment is by way of God actually existing, or you're serving the right God. But you have to again think other countries are bombed and attacked by the very country that we live in. What does that say for their God? All right.
That moment in time and during the course of the vigil later on was both their faith, but also the necessity for us to come together under one God to purge evil and to rely upon the love that God provides.
Thank you, Governor.
Yeah, indeed. We know you've got your hands full. Governor Greg Abbott, thank you very much
for
joining
there.
us today
Thank you.
Austin.
Thank you.
All right, how do we turn to faith when a massacre happens at a place of worship? We're going to ask Father Jonathan.
Wow. How do you turn to faith when a massacre happens? We're going to ask Father Jonathan. We're going to put another person that's a preacher on and let him talk about how do we turn to faith during a massacre, because that's what we do. We turn to faith. But what is faith? Faith is a belief and a unsubstantiated claim. Why turn to that? It's not proven. So why in a calamity are we turning to something that we don't even have proof of? It's merely faith. Maybe we should turn to more realistic type measures. Maybe we should consider a more practical approach. You could have metal detectors. You could have self-defense classes. You could have ushers or other members of your church watch and guard the doors while you guys are having service to protect yourselves. You cannot rely on faith. What you use to believe that the deity that you praise is true is not practical when trying to protect yourself. All right. You need to consider better ways to protect yourself and your congregation and your members. Right. I don't know why we're not doing this yet. We should take a proactive approach to protecting people. And if you're a pastor, your family members, you guys accept money every single week. You should make it a priority to put surveillance systems, to put metal detectors at your front doors, and also arm a couple of your church members in case something like this happens. Take a practical approach. I understand that death is hard, no doubt about it. We accepted these beliefs because we don't like the idea of death, but also in the same book as these things, it causes separation. In the same book, it causes us to point fingers at people because they live a certain lifestyle that is different from you, and they're not causing any harm. The book causes separation, and a calamity or a massacre is no reason to hold on to a book. It's not. Let me end it by saying this. Because calamity and death are hard to confront, that does not mean that you have to subscribe to literature. Let's face it, guys. This literature says that a big fish swallowed a man. It also says that the entire world flooded. Think about it. It says that kangaroos came from Australia, penguins came from Antarctica all the way to Africa to board a ship, and then went back after it happened. Meanwhile, there are no bones of anything like that to prove it. Because you cannot confront death does not mean you have to subscribe to religious literature. And to my point earlier, she stated that they all had the same beliefs. I'm going to go back. I want you to look at the guy on the right in the ashy suit. Notice he doesn't want to be there at all.
Later on was both their faith,
right,
but
watch
also
his mannerisms,
the
patting his thighs, looking up in the air.
Come together
He's
under
distant.
one God to purge evil and to rely
I would be
upon the
willing to
love
bet
that
money
God
he does not
provides.
agree.
Thank you, Governor.
Yeah, indeed. We know you've got your hands full. Governor Greg Abbott.